I think there's like an active way where your art actively engages with like these problems, the obstacles, and seeks to kind of like spread awareness and to rise and to have people like rise up in that way to kind of like actively push at those boundaries, so on and so forth. And I think that nature art is very important. What I think is also important, and I will put myself in this latter camp, is also like we also need art that shows like this is the potential, or this is what we can do once we are free of those things. This is what we can do once we no longer have to think about why can I get in this establishment? Why am I being held on in these certain ways?
We haven't been allowed to be fully human. Colonized people, black people, like
right.
claim the full right of humanity to say that.
I like to write my art
acknowledging those attributes, right? Like the default privileged person doesn't have to acknowledge all these things because they get to be a full person.
They're already
meaning a blank slate that's just talking about what they choose.
Right, right.
But then the privileged person of the underprivileged community constantly has to like manage an intersection where they constantly
those like two
but
things.
Also be like an artist that's
exactly like
full free.
Yeah, and when I think of like what impact I would like to have for the underprivileged kind of like demographic, if you will, that I also came from, would be like I want young black children or whoever to like read my books and to be like, oh, like I want them to know that hey, like we can do this. Like
I get to be the reclusive, I'm writing for myself, I don't really care about the world outside kind of writer.
These kind of conversations.
I can assume that you don't want to.
Well, that's not me, but there are people that.
Yeah, I mean, like I think these conversations, these happen when you're outside of the room, right? And it happens when you can take kind of like a meta-narrative stance on like where you see yourself in the world, and you can kind of zoom out and kind of like acknowledge these things. When you're in like black arts, and I say this in quotation marks because I do believe that there is black art, but when I do like this, it means that the kind of common way in which it's thought of. It's like black people having to deal with issues and racism is probably the primary theme, so on and so forth.
Yeah, because that doesn't allow it for it to ever be mainstream. It doesn't allow it forever to like talk about anything. Like it's a way of the mainstream of boxing it into, oh, they're just gonna talk about these things and they can't ever like talk about anything else,
And
so
like
I feel
part
like
of the problem is like but part of the problem is that box is real. It is a box in which we live, and it's a box in which we are trying to climb out, which is why I still think it's important, right?
And
where is this?
Like Mi'kmaq, for example, like the Mi'kmaq people, which is indigenous people in Nova Scotia, like their language has no nouns. So you can't say I.
Is it all verbs?
It's verbs.
You mean no pronouns?
You decline the verb. So if I'm like in English I'd say I'm teaching you, you're teaching me, right? In Mi'kmaq you talk about teaching and who's being taught. But like it's the verb, it's a metaphysical language basically. Like it's sort of the same as
oh my god.
Yeah. Like they say like it's like quantum physics almost, because everything in the world is in motion in relationship to the relationship into other
objects. You guys ever heard a poem called Meditation at Lagunitas by Robert
Blackberry.
Oh god. Before we have a word for a tree and the ground, those two things are not necessarily separate in our mind. It's only when we kind of have that. So it's only when that is a tree, and therefore something needs to not be a tree. So and that is a ground. And so like now we have that separation as opposed to kind of like that inherent kind of like fluidity. So there's a great line in this poem that says, "A word is elegy to what it signifies." So from the time there is that word, it's already kind of like a
killing it.
Death of it. Meditation at Lagunitas by Robert Haas. All the new thinking is about loss. In this, it resembles all the old thinking. The idea, for example, that each particular erases the luminous clarity of a general idea. That the clown-faced woodpecker probing the dead, sculpted trunk of that black birch is, by his presence, some tragic falling off from a first world of undivided light. Or the other notion that because there is in this world no one thing to which the bramble of blackberry corresponds. A word is elegy to what it signifies. We talked about it late last night, and in the voice of my friend, there was a thin wire of grief, a tone almost querulous. After a while, I understood that, talking this way, everything dissolves. Justice, pine, hair, woman, you, and I. There was a woman I made love to, and I remembered how, holding her small shoulders in my hands sometimes, I felt a violent wonder at her presence, like a thirst for salt, for my childhood river with its island willows, silly music from the pleasure boat, muddy places where we caught the little orange silverfish called pumpkin seed. It hardly had to do with her. Longing, we say, because desire is full of endless distances. I must have been the same to her. But I remember so much, the way her hands dismantled bread, the thing her father said that hurt her, what she dreamed. There are moments when the body is as numinous as words, days that are the good flesh continuing. Such tenderness, those afternoons and evenings, saying, blackberry, blackberry, blackberry.
Okay, got it. Sorry, I just haven't done it in a while.
Don't worry about
it. Okay, Andra. So, where's that from? Okay, starting from the
We
beginning.
have more margarita.
Okay.
I'm getting another one just now.
The
I'm at the point
broadcast.
where sorry. Yeah.
The broadcasts say our beautiful black babies are born bad. Black babies are born into a bankrupt society, born with a black spoon in its mouth that belittles and bashes black babies and borrows off their blood because businesses make bank off the bodies of black brothers backed into barren blocks of broken down buildings where they blast each other and boast about it. Because black brothers are abandoned and battered. Black brothers are bewildered and baffled because black babies are bombarded by badass images of black brothers in baggy pants without belts, breaking the law and getting busted up by cops. Black babies are brought up in this society to be beaten down. Brilliant black babies are betrayed and never bring about their promise because when black babies are bored by books and buried in the back rows, no one bothers. Black queens get called bitches and baby mamas and are blinded to their black beauty, so they bleach their skin and burn their locks and are embarrassed by their big black bottoms bouncing because Barbies have blonde hair and flat beehives and blank blue eyes. Black women are abused and bartered and bought in bedrooms and told it's better to be barren than to breed because black babies are a burden on society. Black women are blocked from benefits. Bold black women are banished to the back of the bus, but they can bare their breasts and bounce their booties on BET. Black mamas bawl over the broke up bodies of their black boys because black brothers are still Billy Strange fruit hanging in the breeze. Black brothers bake in back alleys and urban blocks where municipal boards dump their garbage and board up black businesses and build a bridge by the basin that used to be their backyard while they pour black taxes into building up the harbor front and banning beggars. Black brothers beef with other black brothers because black babies learn that black bodies are better off dead. Black bodies are broke up, burned up in bonfires, blown up by bombs. Black boys are deployed to brown country. They barrage other black brothers until their brains burst and bubble out onto the blacktop, and then they're sent home secretly in big black body bags, and politicians boast about their bravery while pocketing their bonus. Bloated black bodies blister in the blazing sun, hanging from branches, or bruised black bodies are pulled from the rubble in New Orleans. Black bodies are buried alive, boxed into prison blocks behind bars to get boned and broken. The best black brothers get is bond or bail. Black brothers are still black bucks, bargained into the bottom of ships and brought to break their backs with bullies and bosses. Black babies are born from broken bloodlines. So black boys bounce basketballs, or bump beats, or bang bitches, or bust their balls, or bite back with bravado, get blasted in black yards, or deal bags to make bills because black babies are born to bleed. So black boys blaze blunts in basements or battle on the streets. White ladies see black boys and back up across a boulevard grabbing their bags because black boys are obviously robbers and bangers. Black babies are bamboozled and passed around like bottles of beer on the wall. But no, black babies are born to be beloved and embrace the beauty of their being and of their birthright. Black babies should blaze as bright as a billion bonfires. Black babies should be blessed to be the brilliance they want to become. Black babies are not born to be bitches or bastards or bangers or busters or beggars or bums or brain dead or backwards or at the bottom or second best. Black babies are a beautiful fruit. This poem was brought to you by racism, indifference, and the letter B. That's old, man. I've got that poem.